Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of The Athlete's Advocate. I am your host, Ashel Tack, professional basketball player and author of The Reality Behind the Glamour of College Athletics. Today, we are here. We are joined by Ivens Applyrs. I will let Ivan introduce himself, but we have a new segment here on The Athlete's Advocate. It's called The Pivot Portal, and basically what we are doing here is interviewing numerous professionals in their careers to try and expose athletes, whether they're college athletes or professional athletes, to the various professions out there, various careers, professions, industries, and allow them to understand that their identity as an athlete is more than what it is and prepare them for life after sports. So, Ivans, I'll
Mhm.
let you take it away. I just want to kind of start by having you just kind of tell us about your background a little bit, how you grew up, where you are originally from, where you went to
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school, and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah, thank you so much, Asho, for having me on the platform. Really excited to be on here. And like I know we're gonna drop some good nuggets. To kind of start off, I just basically like started off as just a product, a son of like two passionate immigrants. Was born in Haiti, was there until like I was five or so, until my parents decided that it was time to kind of start new life here in the United States, and where I kind of grew up in Florida, specifically Hollywood, Florida, like Miami area, south of SoFlo, if you're familiar. I went to high school over at Fort Lauderdale High, and I got my degree over at the University of Florida, studying computer engineering. Um, I have so many different experiences. A lot of people kind of grew up in the what do you kind of consider like the hood, like the rougher areas, but then also like had the experience of like what the suburbs looks like, being in college, kind of like going from like being in a predominantly black school to being a PWI, all the gamut of things, and even just trying to find my place as an Haitian, like a Haitian, and trying to like not really assimilating with all the black folks, but then also like not being white, trying to find a way to kind of fit in that metric. But I think I kind of figured it out all right, and I'm super glad to be where I am now, currently working at Microsoft as a product manager. So super excited to talk about my journey.
Yeah, what an interesting one at that. You kind of talked about the transition, being an immigrant and coming to the States, and trying to take in that culture and learn the culture. Did you find yourself trying to fit in by changing who you are a little bit, maybe your personality? Or you just like, you know what, it doesn't really matter. I don't really have to change myself to fit in with this type of crew or this type of culture or environment. I'm just going to do me, and whoever's real will be around me.
I'm not going to lie, it was very, very hard to kind of assimilate because when I came here, I didn't speak English. I was basically Creole was my first language, and being trying to find friends, it was very hard because around in that, if anyone's familiar in the Florida area, they like Haitians were really not treated the best because there was a lot of bad stigma around the media. A lot of them kind of migrated here on boats. My parents actually came here on boats and find a way to get me here. So we had stipulations anywhere between like, oh yeah, you guys eat cat, you guys do like voodoo, all these things. So it was very difficult for me to kind of even kind of find a home. As soon as people found that I was Haitian or kind of hear how like I spoke, they're like, oh yeah, he's not one of us. So what I
Mhm.
kind of started doing was just more so reforming myself and trying to find a way of the land. Like I feel like a lot of immigrants, what they try to do is to assimilate is they change how they speak, they change how they dress. So I started doing the same things to kind of just really kind of come to and become one of them, so that I would kind of like dodge some of this. I got in a lot of fights as a kid, as a result, but I didn't really kind of find myself being comfortable with who I am until like possibly like the like junior year of high school. And then when I went to college, I was like, no, this is who I am. Um, I'm a, I'm a Haitian, like 100%. And whoever kind of like rocks with that, rocks with it. I also didn't come up with a silver spoon, and that's my come up story.
Hmm.
Basically, everyone has their moments where they kind of struggle. Some people come like with some particular privileges, some people don't. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, I'm just blessed regardless. Like God kind of put me in the position I'm in, and I just have to be able to kind of allow the people that's supposed to be in my life to come to my life. You know.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and I'm assuming that's what's driving you and motivating you to be the person that you are, the person you're going to be, and all that you're doing. And kind of taking it back
Absolutely.
a little bit. Yeah, and kind of taking it back a little bit to what you mentioned earlier. You said you graduated high school. Now, when you graduated, did you know what you wanted to do, or were those decisions made when you got to college? After you taking your basics.
Yeah. So I think when growing up, I never really had an idea of what I wanted to do. Growing up in the hood, like basically the thought process is like you're kind of going to be an athlete, right? Like your only ticket to kind of get out is to play basketball, football, or you're going to have to be some type of rapper.
Mhm.
And it's kind of weird, like when you kind of have these conversations with people, it's always a common thing. And likewise, I was the same way. I played basketball, I played football, but kind of my career never really lifted. Like I never really got scouted. Like me and my like high school like coaches really never kind of seen eye to eye. And it wasn't until my junior year of high school where I had this one teacher that it was my calculus teacher. It was the first AP class I ever took. I walked into class and hand sagging, like just really was out of it. And then like she comes in and was just like, hey, your Gakas is showing. And I was like, what is this lady talking about? And basically she was pointing at my boxes, telling me to like raise my boxes up, and like she forced me to sit right next to her, and she was really hard on me. And
Mhm.
that was the first time I really had like a teacher that's kind of like, yo, I'm going to invest in you, and I want you to kind of like really take this seriously, because I was just kind of cruising along. Being an immigrant, you can't come back with bad grades, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really mean you're super applying yourself. So
Mhm.
when I noticed sports wasn't like working out, I started saying that I was kind of really good at this math stuff. Like I was like calculus, like I did well. I took calculus one and calculus two, and it was always a thing for me. It's like math just kind of came easy. And then I also remember growing up, my parents, like my dad was, they didn't go to college, but he had his hands in vocational schools, and I had the opportunity to play with circuit boards and also like try to set up like fridges and stuff. It was really cool. I thought, oh, I'm good at math. Like something like this tech stuff kind of looks kind of cool. And then at the same
Mhm.
time, like I remember I used to be the go-to person to troubleshoot all the computers, being the youngest and like the millennial. There's like, yo, something's broken, take it to Ivens. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, I could try this. And then that's when like I was like, what, like I took a test. It's like, what do you like to do? Where do you see yourself? And then it said you could be in finance because you kind of like math. I was like, that's kind of boring. You could be a lawyer. I was like, that's kind of boring. And
Mhm.
then it says you could be an engineer. I was like, hmm, yeah, that seemed kind of interesting. I was like, I saw like a lot of movies, and it kind of made me think about. I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's this movie like from Will Smith, it's iRobot.
Mhm.
Basically, like in iRobot, is everything is Android influence, AI, ML, real concepts, and I was like, I could see myself exactly like that. So that's when I kind of like jumped into that career path.
Mhm. Now, you chose the University of Florida. Why did you choose the University of Florida? What did it have for you that you thought was a good, why did you think it was a good fit? And then also on top of that, while you were there, what organizations did you get involved in?
Yeah, I don't know, like to be honest, I was just happy to go to college. Like I had an opportunity, because the thing is, once basketball kind of like and football kind of just really would then become a thing, I was like, bro, what am I gonna do? And
Mhm.
then I applied to schools. I applied everywhere. Like I was just unloading a clip of like this school, this school, this school, and then I got into all my schools, but Florida was the very, very last one, and it just so happened to be the top school
Mhm.
in Florida, right? Basically, University of Florida. In comparison, I got into Florida State. I got into the University of South Florida, FIU. and it just so happened to be the top school. When I walked on campus, I tell you no lie, I heard graduation bells, like the noise, like da 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 da. I heard that, and then that's where I'm like, nah, this. All the other schools are cool, but I feel like this is where like I'll be challenged the most, and it was the right decision. Like I was very the thought process is like I never really I wanted to be in a position where my parents never really had to kind of worry about me and my success.
Mhm,
Like presented that opportunity. I did a summer bridge program there called Step Up,
mhm,
and I recommend anyone who kind of is in high school looking to kind of get into college consider taking the bridge program, because being a young kid from South Florida, like you don't know the ins and outs of college. Whatever you think you know, you don't know. That helped me be able to kind of adjust to the speed of college. And that's when I also like saw organizations like National Society of Black Engineers. That's where I
mhm.
saw black people that was also engineers. And to me, like on University of Florida's campus, I was like a I don't know if I could say this, but I was a black speck in a sea of milk. Like, like that's the only way I could kind of equate it. It's like I rarely saw any black people, and that's when I kind of had the opportunity to be exposed to some black people at the
Right.
PWI.
Mhm,
And from there, I was like, no, I need more of this. I need more exposure. I did
right.
organizations like student government. I'm part of of a fraternity. I actually have it on me right now. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, the oldest and coldest. And then I'm also a part of like so many. I did so many different organizations, Black Student Unions, and I did Club Creole, like Jamsa Caribsa. I participate in different like events and activities.
Mhm,
You don't have to do the same things I was doing, but I was just trying to get as much exposure as I can and
right.
allow myself to network with as many people as I can when I got to campus.
And that's a great way to put yourself out there too, just to kind of form those connections and prepare yourself for life after.
Yeah,
Now, so for all those individuals, so for all of us, in different professions, we're not in the
yeah,
computer science field. Could you please help us understand, educate us on what the difference is between
yeah,
computer
yeah. So
engineering?
yeah, so for me, I did computer engineering.
Mhm,
And for those people who are trying to kind of get an understanding, is like computer science focuses on the study of software, like the science of technology.
mhm,
But most times when you kind of take your classes, it'll be data structures, which
mhm,
is like a standard design practice class for like programming and stuff like that,
mhm,
and you kind of do Java, C Sharp, and all these things, right? But think about all the curriculum of computer science, and plus the hardware side of it, and
mhm,
you'll have computer engineering because you do the programming, any like front facing of languages, but then you also understand anything like FPGA boards, anything like microprocessors, anything related to logics and like circuits is very heavily. Um,
mhm,
I would recommend, right? And this is just my thought process. If you're trying to look into a career like mine's, product manager, you don't have to go the computer engineering route. We could talk about it, but like you can do the computer science route, because oftentimes computer science you could bang that out in like anywhere between 2 to 4 years. Computer
mhm.
engineering, like oftentimes it's an extra year, five, or in my case it took me 6 years to get out of that thing. The hardware side had me in a chokehold like this, like like Tyrese and Baby Boy, man. Like, but my recommendation is, if you're kind of looking to kind of get into robotics or anything with a hardware components, then computer engineering is really good. But if you really just like looking to be a product manager, or if you just want to be like a software engineer, take the computer science route.
Okay, okay. Well, thanks for advice.
Hmm.
We talked about how involved you were while you were still in college. I'm sure you did some internships as well. What are some
Oh
other
yeah,
things
yeah.
that you did to put yourself, or to put your best foot forward, to prepare you for when graduation happened and the next step in your life started? And now you're an adult and you have to find a real, a big boy job, a big girl job? What are some other things that you did to prepare you for that?
Yeah. So you spoke on the internships. I think that's very important. My thought process is, um, you could be book smart, but when you're actually put in a position where you have to do stuff, you won't really know what that looks like unless you have that real world experience. I was
Mhm,
fortunate enough to, through Nesby, shout out to Nesby, to get my first internship my freshman year. Like, so after my freshman year, which is not unheard of, but it's very difficult to get a internship your freshman year. And
mhm,
from there, it was a domino effect. I got an internship that next year. Then I did some research, and then that really kind of diversified my resume because
mhm,
companies really want to see, oh yeah, does this individual have real world experience and real world applications? And then
mhm,
also, are they showing themselves to be a leader or um, in the case of a product manager, you need to be articulate. You need to be able to work with a team to do some forms of cross collaborations.
mhm,
So seeing that leadership experience on your resume definitely helps you be able to set yourself apart from other applicants. And
mhm,
the obvious one is apply, apply, apply. Go to all the opportunities you see on campus, go to all the networking events, leverage your LinkedIn. Like in this day and age, it's not necessarily what you know, but who you know. So
mhm,
LinkedIn kind of bridges that gap.
mhm,
I wish I leveraged that more when I was in school, but like I was able to go to all the career events, go to a lot of conferences through Nesby. Um, and also, there's multiple other organizations on campus that hosted different events during recruitment week, and I just
mhm.
attended all of them, and I shot my shot. Like I shot my shot at everything.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you think it's a straight shot into program management or product management, or are there like certain jobs or experiences that you have to go through before you get to that level? If you have
This
the education.
if you have the education, it helps. But one thing I've realized in the PM space, it can be very political,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of individuals who are gatekeepers. It's the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
um, and it's because there when you kind of try to define what a PM is, there's so
Mhm.
many different ways to define it.
Mhm.
My common way of articulating what a PM is basically the CEO of a particular product without having the CEO's power. Your power comes from your influence.
Mhm.
Now, what has helped me break into that is obviously like my background in tech. They
Mhm.
generally love to see that you have a couple years experience of working as a software engineer, have a computer science background, a computer engineer. I
Mhm.
started my first year as a developer, working
Mhm.
with front end with an
Mhm.
Angular framework.
Mhm.
But in addition to having that real world computer science, they also want to see you're not a robot. They want to actually see that you can lead a team, you could drive results, and then you could kind of pain or understand customer pain points. So if I had to define a path, right, and I mentioned going to college and I wanted to redo it all over again, I would have told younger Ivans, well, you don't need to do computer engineering, right? Because all that's going to do is make you really, really dive into the tech, like on both
Mhm.
hardware and software. Like the
Mhm.
hardware things that you lack, you could probably take it as an elective. What I would
Mhm.
recommend, you could do computer science or business and info systems, right? Now, be
Mhm.
mindful, business and info systems, sometimes you don't get the technical meat that you need. So you need to be able to program, you need to be able to understand like frameworks and stuff like that. But take those routes and then keep doing the involvements that you do because that shows like a diverse background. And
Mhm.
then from there, instead of just applying, because I it was basically like a gun. I was just spraying at any internship opportunities that I had. All right,
Yeah.
like I remember when I went to my first conference, I literally, I tell you no lie, 300 resumes in my hand, and all 300 I passed out to like different companies, right? Just like passing them out like hotcakes, right? And that's how I was able to get my opportunity. But rather than doing that, you do the horizontal networking, which is networking with your peers, and then the vertical
Mhm.
networking, where it's just networking with people in industry. I, for myself, I host like opportunities for people to come seek mentorship and talk about being a product manager. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of people out on LinkedIn that's just like, I want to give back. Let me go ahead
Mhm.
and talk to this person, and I might have an internship opportunity for this person. I would
Mhm.
have went that route so I could land my first internship and keep
Mhm.
getting more PM internships, and I would have been so much further ahead in my career than I was now. So the pathway is you have to have that tech background, that tech understanding, but
Mhm.
what's really good with a PM's background is, can you lead, can you influence, and do you have a particular understanding of your customers?
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I feel like times have changed, especially in the LinkedIn era or world, because
Yeah,
when
yeah,
well, it wasn't heavily used, you know what I mean? Like, it was more so the
exactly.
passing out of physical resumes, but now, this generation has the ability to do that on LinkedIn where, like you said, they can connect with recruiters, like, literally on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, you message them, approach them in a way where you're trying to learn from them and learn about their role more so than
Mm-hmm.
seeking a job opportunity and saying, "Hey, can you offer me this job?" You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. Yeah, so right now you are a current product manager at Microsoft. Let's talk
Mm-hmm.
about what your title means because I know sometimes, especially on LinkedIn, a lot of individuals because they are involved in so many things, the way they title themselves is different than what they actually do, or
Yeah,
sometimes the title of the job does not match the criteria or what you actually do, what your day to day is like. So talk
yeah.
to us about your title, what you do day to day,
Mm-hmm.
and what are some information or feedback or insights that you can offer us for those individuals that are not in that space.
Right, right. So, I'm currently a product manager, and if anyone's heard or seen Microsoft titles before, most times
Mhm.
you'll see program manager, and I'll talk to the differences about those. But right now, the actual title is product manager, and I am the product manager in the Azure networking space. Essentially working with the software defined network. My product is private Azure Private Link, which is a secure way to allow customers to be build out on the hybrid cloud.
Mhm.
And essentially, what my day to day is, I'm in a B2B space. My customers are other business owners, such as clients like AT&T, Walmart, Adobe, just to name a few. And our like goal is to help them roll out their solutions, like as they build out on the cloud. But
Mhm.
allowing them to be able to connect to Azure Microsoft PaaS services in a secure fashion,
Mhm.
and is technical, which is why I like it. It causes me to speak to a lot of customers, which is
Mhm.
also why I like it. And I work cross functioning with other teams and other stakeholders. I work with other product managers. I work with a whole bunch of developers. And I also work vertically amongst my team members based on the different components like that they hold
Mhm.
within the whole networking stack.
Mhm.
And essentially, it's a mouthful to say that my customers are just really like me, and solutions architects, engineers, etc. And
Mhm.
we're building a product like in the cloud to help them like be able to kind of deliver out to their customers. But
Mhm.
when I go back in terms of like what that really means, you'll have whenever someone says a PM, you'll know that a PM can stand for product manager, program manager, technical product manager. Sometimes people will call themselves product owners.
Mhm.
And funny enough, when I was working in my previous company, Citibank, I was titled a product owner.
Mhm.
Now, each one kind of hints at the level of responsibility that you have or what you have to do.
Mhm.
Essentially, a product owner, they focus on a product.
Mhm.
Like they talk to their customers and they focus on the particular product that they serve. They need to know the ins and outs of it. While a product owner, they do that, but they probably might work closer to the engineering team in type
Mhm.
of like I don't know if this is familiar to anyone who's listening, but it like an agile like or scrum master role.
Mhm.
And those individuals usually write out what we call user stories. They define what the product is and what the engineers are going to do. But the product managers and the product owners kind of like shared similar responsibilities, where the
Mhm.
program manager, really what the program manager will often do is they'll set the pacing for the entire program. They can be project managers as well, and they sometimes like have more regulated systems like burn down sheets. They'll have like Excels and saying this is where we're tracking, this is our metrics. And sometimes, and depending on the particular roles, program managers could be the individuals that's like aligning with the product owners and the product
Mhm.
managers to make sure that they're delivering on what they need to be delivering at a particular set time. Where the
Mhm.
product managers, oh, I'm focusing on the customer, trying to figure out the what and why and
Mhm.
building it out, and the program managers can focus sometimes on the how and when of the pictures,
Mhm.
and they can kind of take in different roles. And the other ones that I didn't kind of speak on is technical product managers.
Mhm.
And the T kind of just basically sometimes stands as like you are more technically competent and closer to engineers than the product managers, because oftentimes product managers can have an MBA. They could come from more of a business side of focus, business analyst focus, where the technical
Mhm.
product managers, they still understand customer pain points and they still
Mhm.
know what the product they're building, but they're understanding more in terms of the design, the technical deliverables, like what's the pacing for the engineers themselves, and trying to unblock like any particular issue. So, um, convoluted way of saying the differences really, um, it just depends on what you like to do. Like,
Yeah.
if you see yourself as someone, I really care for the customer. I really care under want to see what their pain is. Then you could be
Mhm.
more of a product manager. If you're like, I really want to make sure things get delivered on time and make sure that we're driving towards that, you could be a program or a project manager.
Mhm.
And if you're just like, I want to stay technical, I want to talk with engineers, I want to solve big issues, then you could be a technical product manager.
Wow, thank you for being our Google there, and kind of explaining the differences, those
Yeah, my
titles, and
bad.
what they.
I nerded out.
No, no, that was great. That we needed that, you know.
Hmm.
So thank you for breaking all that down, so we have an understanding of each title, what it does, and what their, their day to day looks like. So you kind of touch on something a little bit, which is transitioning from other backgrounds, right? You mentioned
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
can get into this space with having like a business background, right? Like you have a couple MBAs and all that. So when we talk about pivots and people pivoting either from one industry to the other, in this case your industry, or just don't have experience, what
Hmm.
would you offer them? What type of advice would you offer those individuals that literally have no experience, that have the education, they've gone maybe 2 to 5 years of their lives, no nothing on their resume, and then how would
Mm,
you talk to individuals that are coming from, like, let's say marketing, like how would they fit, let's
mm,
say they're coming from, I don't know, any other industry besides tech, or computer engineering. what
yeah.
what, what can they would they need to go back to school and get a certain type of degree, or do you
Mm.
think that there's certain things they could do now in the world that we are in to kind of leverage the opportunities and resources in the learning space to then transition into this space?
Yeah. One thing like my philosophy is everything is figure outable. Like you could figure it out. And when you kind of take a step back and kind of like want to process it in like a particular situation, you have to really dive in and understand what are the skills that you will need for that end goal,
Mhm.
and what skills do I have currently that could align, and what skills that I don't have currently that I might need to kind of build and grab. There's not a
Mhm.
one size fits all solution, because yes, I could basically say go back to school, but then you could still not end up in this position. I could say get your MBA and you still not end up in this position. Do a boot camp, you still not end up in this position, or do get your Scrum certifications or like your any type of certifications that align with it, and you still not end up in this position.
Mhm.
So, no, I remember I spoke about there's a lot of gatekeeping within the PM space,
Yeah.
and the gatekeeping is basically because it's so hard to define in a sense of what it is that you do. The easiest way is if you already have a deep technical understanding and if you already been a PM in some shape or form, it's
Mhm.
really easy. So my suggestion, if you're in the space of like, I've never had any tech experience, but I want to break into tech and I want to be a PM,
Mhm.
understand that it might be like a longer journey and it might be a little different. I have a friend who, for example, transitioned from being a therapist in order to jump into the PM space.
Mhm.
And what she did is basically transform her entire like resume to align with some of the key words or terms that align with a product manager.
Mhm.
And she was like basically like modified her LinkedIn, got in contact with a small company, and then
Mhm.
she was basically like pulled in to be their PM because they liked how she articulated like herself and they liked her business acumen.
Mhm.
And that is not like oh yeah, this is a cut and dry, this is a PM space, but it gave her the opportunity to step in into that space. So my first number one recommendation is just make sure every like if this is where you want, take all your experience, any experience that you have, and see what it correlates and modify everything to kind of correlate and align with a PM's resume, a
Mhm.
PM's LinkedIn, even just the words and readings and conversations that you have. So that's number one. And the second thing is, it's like I would look into adding certain things like onto your skill set. Maybe taking a certification, maybe getting an extra degree,
Mhm.
any place that will allow you to like increase your clicks because whenever someone's looking to add in a PM, they're looking for certain keywords. Hey, how many years of experience? What degrees do they have? X, Y, Z. So anything that you could do is benefit and then
Mhm.
use that to kind of open doors to communicate and network with people. The way I got into Microsoft, believe it or not, is through networking. Like I
Mhm.
talked to a friend and who made a mention that there's an event going on. I went to the event. Microsoft PMs were there. I talked to the Microsoft PMs. I ended up speaking with one of the corporate vice presidents there. He liked me. He already saw on my resume these are the things that I want to talk about: leading a
Mhm.
roadmap, wanting to kind of focus on the customer's pain points, setting the vision for a particular product. And he's like, "Yo, this sounds exactly like a PM. I like this." And then one book that I recommend for everyone to read is "Cracking the PM Interview." It breaks
Mhm.
down everything, probably like all the nerdy language that I've kind of said, and
Mhm.
brings it down to a way that states that if you are presented with the interview, this is how
Mhm.
you're able to kind of like address or answer any of these questions.
Mhm.
So essentially, number one, like change all your information so that it aligns with a PM's, to add in any skill sets, degrees, or things that you might need. Number three, essentially, is like making sure that you are reading that book so that you're able to kind of have those conversations and networking. And I'll say like number four is just like maybe just like take out the gun and start spraying. Like um, use LinkedIn. There's a company called HBCU Connect for all my black folks that went to HBCUs. They're amazing. Will Moss is awesome. He's the CEO there. Or Black Product Managers is a network where it's filled with a lot of black product managers who essentially want to help other black folks step into that
Mhm.
space. Then making sure like there's a on YouTube called Product School,
Mhm.
where other PMs come in and they teach. So you want to be in those spaces where there's a bunch of PMs and you're talking to them.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the people that's not going to be gatekeepers. There's going to be advocates and sponsors for you
Mhm.
that could kind of say, "Hey, my team's looking for X, Y, Z," and you jump on board and take that opportunity. And then once you get there, you just rock out and you'll be fine.
Dropping gems all day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now
Mhm.
let's kind of pivot a little bit and talk about salary negotiations, right?
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, you know, when you have the opportunity, first of all, when do you think you have the leverage to negotiate your salary. I know usually if you have tons of experience, you have the education, you know what you're doing, it's easier and you have more confidence to, negotiate your salary and, seek what you're worth, right? Whether it's your, again, your knowledge or your experience. But for talk about also those individuals that maybe don't have the experience, but they don't want to be lowballed because they don't have the experience, right? Because they know they can do the job. It's just that there's no experience there. So
Yeah,
what kind of leverage do they use, or how do they go about negotiating their salary so they're getting their worth and the type of work they're going to be that they're going to be putting into that company?
yeah, yeah. Well, so one of the things that I wanted to kind of like say is like if a company is giving you an offer, that means that they already like you enough.
Right.
Meaning they see you in comparison to all the other candidates as someone that they want to have in the company. So
Hmm.
that's already an advantage to begin with. Now,
Hmm.
where a lot of people kind of like mess up is that they don't know how to use that as a way to kind of negotiate salaries because I did this for myself. It's like when I saw my salary, I was like, "Oh, this is the most money I've ever seen in my life. Like, let me take it."
Hmm.
Always ask if the salary is negotiable. Always try to find a bigger opportunity. So, how you go about negotiating your particular salary? These are some items that I think will help you kind of like leverage. One, knowing that they already really rock with you, but number two is identifying if you have multiple offers. If you have multiple offers, it's Game of Thrones, like one pinning one over each other. Who's the sweetest one?
Right.
It's a lot easier to have those conversations because they know their competitors will have sweeter deals, right?
Right.
So they'll kind of sweeten in different ways. Understanding like with tech salaries, you don't get paid in straight base salary. Sometimes you get paid in bonuses, and
Mhm.
sometimes you get paid in what's called like salary or stock. And
Mhm.
because you get paid in salary and stock, sometimes the base is not negotiable, but the stock offering is negotiable based on like where they could kind of see production out of, right?
Mhm.
Most companies they offer stock because they feel that by having the employees there, they will like raise their overall production and value. So
Mhm.
you can use your past experience in that sense by comparing like essentially you could go on Glassdoor,
Mhm.
Blevity. There's another one. Basically where there's other websites that you could go on to kind of see what are the average offers based on the experience level that you have that is being received, and you could kind of compare their offers and just say, hey, in the market, I normally see this offer versus this offer. And I was wondering if we could negotiate going up here. Companies will
Mhm.
finesse you in terms of cost of labor, right? It's not cost of living, meaning like if you live in Dallas and then you want to go to Houston and it's like, oh, the cost of living in Houston is more. No,
Mhm.
basically cost of labor, meaning how much does it realistically cost to have your services like
Mhm.
relative to the overall market. And
Mhm.
in order to kind of find that out, you could basically talk to with a recruiter and just say, hey, I'm curious to see like what is the current cost of labor for someone in my experience, like working in this particular position. What is the range?
Mhm.
And if they are way under the range, they have to kind of bump it up and you have to talk to them in that way. There's this term that's thrown around oftentimes called total compensation.
Mhm.
And total compensation obviously is the stock bonus and base. What I
Mhm.
would kind of have an idea is before the offer even comes in is what is the salary or like what is the total compensation for that offer that you're applying for, and then like have an idea of how you will kind of jump into those upper bands because sometimes if you're at the very top, that means that you are seen as a top performer and you have to
Mhm.
speak towards that of being a
Right.
top performer. And that really kind of relies on like your past experience, like previous offers, and then how you could kind of like leverage yourself because um, one thing, if you're a college grad, the things that kind of are good speaking points is your previous internship experiences, your GPA, your leadership experience on campus, and then all those multiple offers. That sometimes helps to sweeten the deal if you're already working in the industry. Really, it's your past working experience and your offers that really kind of help you negotiate your salary. But um, if you have 10 years of experience, homie, that's a lot, and you should not be making less than six figures. That's how I
Right.
feel.
Okay, well, thank you for breaking that down. Now, we've talked about what you do, what your day to day looks like. We've also talked
Hmm.
about salary negotiations, and you've offered some advice for individuals that are looking to pivot into this space from other backgrounds or if they don't have experience at all.
Hmm.
Now, speaking directly to you, what type of impact do you think you're making in your current career, in your current role, just beyond the impact that you have at your company, like on a broader sense? What type of impact do you think you're making currently?
It's a tough question because me being the person that I am, I never feel like I'm doing enough. To be honest, like I want to eventually be able to kind of take the learnings that I have and bring them back to Haiti. I have a LLC called Life Engineering, and really the desire for life engineering is to be able to increase like the number of like black tech leaders
Mhm,
and minority leaders in the workforce,
mhm,
and I really want to be able to take what I've learned and the experiences to kind of push that and give people that exposure because think about in this concept, I think it's like right now there's still like I think 50% or 40% of the world who like has no tech, right?
mhm,
That's kind of living in the dark. And the access to internets and stuff like that is still untapped, even in places like India, like Africa for sure. And
mhm,
the thought process is think about how much innovation that is still left dormant, you know? So I still feel like I haven't kind of done enough. I still feel like there's things that I need to do. But I live a very busy life, unfortunately,
yeah,
between all the responsibilities that I have, and I have to kind of find a way to kind of jump into that next level and like manage everything. So one of the things that I really hope in this year that I'm able to do is just really niche down
mhm,
into my area of domain expertise, um, optimize some areas of my life, and then really just kind of go all in with the entrepreneur activities, and then try to find ways to kind of allow people to uh, tap into tech even more.
mhm,
I just feel like even in the crazy times you see layoffs and stuff like that, but it's like the severance package is a lot better than some companies that you know what I'm saying? So like there's so much perks to kind of being in tech, and like folks are like, oh yeah, tech is gone, your jobs are gonna be replaced with XYZ. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Like
mhm.
that as tech evolves, you and your knowledge and your understanding needs to evolve. Going
Right.
jumping in tech means that you will never stop learning. That's really what it means.
Yeah. Hey, if whenever you take your talents back to Haiti, just know South Sudan. Okay, I'm recruiting you. Just let me know when
Oh,
you're
for
ready.
sure. Like
Things.
I gotta actually like connect you with my guy is Bonduk. Like he's like representing for South Sudan. Like he like basically he's a rapper. Like I wanted to shout him out because not only is he a rapper, but he's a whiz when it comes to marketing and metrics. And like like the next time I talk to him, like yeah, we got to get tapped in.
I'm
Like
gonna.
we.
I'm trying to take my time too, so just let me know.
We'll make it
Yeah.
happen.
So yeah, make it happen. Exactly. So there's this one quote that I found on your, I was doing a little bit of creeping, but there's one quote that I found on your LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
it said that your purpose is to inspire the next generation of leaders to live fulfilled lives and
Mhm.
apply yours, right? Excellence. Well, you kind
Oh,
of used you played on your last name there, right?
last name.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Amen Apply your last name,
Yeah.
basically to apply excellence daily so they can passionately pursue their purpose. Tell us more about that. What is your purpose beyond what you're doing now? And why do you think it's important for us to continuously um, spit out leaders in this in this world, in this society? What does that mean? What does that look like? And do you think we as a collective are doing a good job of doing that right now?
Yeah, so man, this is really the desire for my life, to inspire the next generation,
Mhm.
to kind of like of leaders to just fulfill their lives and basically I say Applyrs excellence, but
Mhm.
apply excellence like in everything that they do.
Mhm.
Because ultimately for me, when I look at my last name, there's so many different rhetorics around my last names. I don't come from kings. I don't come from like princes, royalty, or like any type of wealth. Like my family literally had to kind of get it out of the mud in a sense of like when we talk about poverty, like no running water, like no electricity, like I've experienced it, I've seen it, and we're trying to work through that. So when I kind of look
Mhm.
at my last name, I'm like, nah, like we gonna add excellence to it. Like, yeah, we don't have that in history, but we're going to,
Right.
like when you kind of see that name, it's going to be associated with like engineers, doctors,
Mhm.
lawyers, the
Mhm.
royalty. And that's how I look at my life. But then I also think about it like when you kind of look at the graveyard of like people that just passed away, they say that that's also the richest area in the world because that's where all the ideas and thoughts and dreams that were never tapped like went to die.
Yeah.
And the only time people really kind of like when they think about life, the best time to kind of get something started is today.
Mhm.
And like yesterday was the even better time, but
Mhm.
today is the only present time that you kind of have. And if I could say certain things, if I could encourage certain things, it's just like by you squandering and not like just allowing your dreams to kind of lay to waste each and every single day, you don't know what life could have been impacted
Right.
if you were just to live your fulfilled life. I think about it like this. It's like if I never really had that run in with my like that teacher in high school, if my parents never like took the leap to kind of bring me to here, like I would never be in this space. I
Mhm.
would have never changed the lives that I did, like donating money or being able to kind of like think about what's the next like form of innovation. So when I think about it like that, I just look at people and I was just like, yo, your life has meaning to it. Like there's
Mhm.
so much meaning, there's so much purpose, so much opportunity, and you have no idea how many people are kind of blocked
Mhm.
from being able to accomplish what they really want because they don't have that access, that opportunity. And you might be that lock to unblock them. And for me, it's like that's the way I'm kind of moving the cycle and moving the wheel,
Yeah.
and just eventually like trying to create that domino effect. Like what Tupac said is like, I might not change the world, but I might inspire the mind that does. So like, that's really the
Yeah.
thought.
And it's always honestly, it's an amazing thing to give back in whichever way you do. It's so easy to be selfish, right? And to keep to yourself and say, you know what, I'm just going to accomplish my dreams, goals, aspirations, and keep it there, and stop
Yeah.
there. But to take that extra step of saying, you know what, let me inspire the next person to do just that or even more. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's really special. So thank you that you're doing
Yeah.
that. And you actually talked about your mentorship. Talk a little bit more about that, how we can support, if there are people out there looking to maybe reach out to you to talk about it, join, whatever. Like, what does it look like? What
Yeah.
does that space look like? And how can people either support or, I guess, like work with you or,
Yeah.
um, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like for me, it's like I'm always looking to kind of like network. Like when you reached out, I was like, no, without a doubt, we got to make this thing happen. Um, Jumping on platforms is one, getting some projects is another. I think the thought process is like if you're looking to tapping into being a PM or getting into the tech space, you could grab some time on my calendar. It's calendly.com/applyrs. Like
Mhm.
I open it up for anyone who wants to have some one-on-one time for me. Like we could have a 30-minute mentoring session. Um, right now it's inactive, but I'm gonna jump back on. But like even following me on Instagram at Ivens underscore Applyrs, you're able to kind of like interact with me, and then like I'll have all my links there. And then even my email, you could reach out to me like through my email, and then we could kind of set some time, like maybe just like a virtual coffee chat or like in person chat if like you're in the Seattle or Florida area. Um, Ultimately, my goal and my thought process is I want to be able to share and disseminate knowledge amongst other people. And then through that, we're able to kind of inspire and like change lives. And then, like, once we kind of got a good bustling community, we're able to deploy capital. Like some of the organizations that I've supported, Projects for Haiti Global, I really support their mission. Shout outs to Dr. BNP. And essentially through them, I've been able to kind of just donate like a gang of money here and there to kind of like support the mission of like reforming education over in Haiti. And then, just interacting and interfacing with different individuals here and there. We could kind of like, I'm curious if there's any opportunities, like I'm curious to like hear about it. If there's any ideas that we could kind of like share, I'm there too. So yeah, I think those are like kind of the best ways. Like feel free, or you can even reach out to Asher, like just be like, hey, I saw such and such. Like go ahead and connect me like that. Like that works too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're open to that because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people reaching out, wanting to connect, and sometimes there's certain people that look intimidating but aren't that intimidating. Um, and in the space that you are, in the type of job that you have, and where you work, it can be intimidating for other peoples that are trying to get into that
Hmm.
space. Like, I don't know if I should reach out or what do I say? And so I'm glad that you opened up your line in the way that you did for others to reach out to you. So I'm glad to
Hmm.
see that. I'm glad to see
Yeah.
what happens after this. And I'm so happy that you came on today. Thank you so much for just supporting and giving back in this way and being available, and
Hmm.
educating us today and informing us and then helping our professional athletes or whoever hears this, letting them know like, hey, you can do anything you want to do. It's just
Exactly.
about being prepared, and following individuals that are in that space that can offer resources and information. So I really appreciate that. But
Exactly.
before you go, what is one thing you would leave for our listeners today?
Oh man, listen. I think the most important thing is like God wouldn't put you in this earth if He didn't have direct purpose for you. So go ahead and feel that and stop playing small. So like my thought process is, you like whoever is listening, like I don't know how dark and what type of trajectories you had to kind of go through in life. Um, your story is just beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like it all comes with like rising actions and the climax, and you it's basically there's so many different chapters to your life that you can't go ahead and just say because of this chapter my life is finished. No, I keep writing that story.
All right, mic drop. Thank you so much, Ivans, again for joining.
Yeah, thank you
And
so much
yeah,
for having me.
yeah, absolutely. Have a good one.
Yeah, you have a good one too.